Good evening, VC, or anyone who stumbles upon this video. Good evening, I said, or good morning, good afternoon, good day, good night, whenever, if ever you are watching this video. I thought I was going to do a live video this evening, but instead I retreated to a normal collection update video because being confined to your home means you got a lot of free time to spend on the internet, and being too much on the internet means online browsing and online digging for records, and you know what that means. Yes, I got a stack of records to show. I guess it's good to keep the economy going, but I'm not sure about my personal economy, but never mind. I got a stack of reissues, and at the bottom of the stack are a couple of originals. So let's just dig into it. I hope the music in the background isn't too loud. We are listening to Made in Sweden live at Golden Circle in 1970, and playing right now is an instrumental rendition of the Beatles' A Day in the Life. Awesome Swedish band, trio. Well, let's just start, shall we? I have shown this record a couple of years ago, I believe. Locomotive's only album, We Are Everything You See. In my previous video where I showed this, I praised it for being a British gloomy Psych masterpiece, and that's still very much so, according to me. But I just, even though I have the original, I just had to buy this recent reissue from 2020 because it's so well done. It's a nice pressing, and they have even reproduced the flip-back sleeve. And as you might know, if you have heard about this band, the originals are quite scarce and expensive, so this is an absolute recommendation from me to you. Norman Haines' Locomotive, We Are Everything You See. Excellent gloomy British psychedelia. And this reissue comes with an insert with an interesting newspaper write-up from 1970, I believe, and some cool pictures of the band. There aren't too many pictures of the band or Norman Haines floating around on the internet, so I thought that was good enough a reason for me to buy it anyway. So I got rid of my unofficial reissue on Radioactive and bought this. The reissue label is Magic Box. Whether it's if it's official or unofficial, I haven't seen anything yet, but I believe it is official, at least when they include such things as inserts. Here's the label, and the sound quality is excellent. Sounds as good as the original. It's difficult to describe the music, but there's no guitar on this album. Norman Haines was a competent vocalist and very competent organ player and a very accomplished songwriter. He had a few weeks stint with Black Sabbath, but turned them down into being a full-time member, which I guess wasn't a commercial good decision. Next up on the same reissue label, another album I have shown before, is J.D. Blackfoot's The Ultimate Prophecy. Fantastic American Psych album. In my opinion, this is a jangly, scruffy masterpiece. Starts off a bit like a country psych rock-ish band, but on side 2 it blows into full face-melting psych. Just awesome. And the reason for me buying this one, I have a 3 copies of the original. Don't ask me why, but some albums I'm being obsessed with. But the reason for this is this acquisition is the bonus CD, which has a lot of bonus tracks, including the single tracks Who's Nuts, Alfred and Epitaph for a Head. Now you don't see the single, the 7-inch or 45 if you wish, here in Norway too often, so I opted for this nicely done reissue. And same case here, sounds marvelous, just as good as the original, even though this is a cheaper album to find, especially the US version. This is a nice way to get the album. I'm babbling today, aren't I? Unprepared as usual. This is, by the way, the European cover of J.D. Blackfoot's Ultimate Prophecy. Nicely done gatefold, nicely done repressing and remastering. Next up is a Swedish, an obscure Swedish psych band, psych jazz prog rock band. They only released one album in 1969, I believe. Yes, and I think the original release just had a couple of hundred copies pressed. At least it's one of the most expensive psych records from Sweden. So I opted for a reissue, which is as rare as the original. Been looking for this for years. Found it by coincidence on a Facebook page for next to nothing. Quite happy. This is, by the way, the band Bibset. And the name of the album is It Wasn't Meant to Happen, which indeed it wasn't meant to happen for them. I'm sorry to say. Atmospheric, dreamy, psych, jazz rock. Excellent, excellent stuff. Perhaps the vocals on this one isn't a strong point, but the music sure makes up for it. And this reissue is on a label called Uranus. Let's go for Uranus. Oh, can't say that on the video. Another band I have shown before. I started collecting this band in December actually. I found an album called Rust, which was released in 1969 in Germany. The band continued under the guitar player's name, Creepy John Thomas, and I managed to find their second or first album as Creepy John Thomas before Christmas, and the other day I bought a reissue of their second and last album called Brother Batbone. Excellent blend of blues, hard and psych rock. Hard blues psych rock. Awesome stuff, check it out. Creepy John Thomas was from Australia originally and moved to Germany and released a couple of records from there as Rust and Creepy John Thomas before he later joined a late iteration of Edgar Broughton Band, sorry. This is a Tapestry reissue. Excellent sounding. Cheers everyone. I hope you are hanging in there, staying safe and staying well. Next one is an interesting one. It's a band which originally released one album in 1969 on the Pi label. It's a British band called Pesky G, and this is their only album called Exclamation Mark. Solid effort, some blues leanings, some psych rock leanings, a bit of progressive elements thrown in here and there, and this is of course a reissue on the Earmark label, Earmark Get Back. Heavy, solid quality. And Pesky G, they're actually the precursor to Black Widow, which we all know and love. Come to the Sacrifice. So, a nice pre-band to Black Widow. It has a couple of duds. A boring moment for me is their cover of Season of the Witch by Donovan. Everyone seemed to do their own cover version of Season of the Witch back then. I can't help it, but I have to show a krautrock album. Actually one I forgot to show in my last update. It's another not too well known band from Germany called Satin Whale, and this is their debut album. Simply called it's called Desert Places. I really have to prepare myself better for before making these videos, but who cares? You can all look it up if you are interested. Desert Places by Satin Whale from 1974 actually. This is solid melodic prog. It's one of my favorite albums for the time being. I've been spinning this quite a lot. It leaves me wanting more. 40 minutes just swoosh goes by. And this is one of those iconic records reissues which I showed in my last video. Awesome stuff. I urge you to check out Satin Whale. Next up, a Canadian band which I don't know too much about. I know this record was released in 1971 and it sparked some controversy because of some lyrics and the band's name. I'm talking about Sex, the band Sex. And this is not a magnificent album, but a good album. It has a couple of cool tracks. All the tracks are good, but some of the tracks are too straight up blues for my taste. But I like the blues. But tracks such as Scratch My Back, at least, which come to mind now, is a killer track, and a couple of other riff-heavy tracks as well. This is a Return to Analog reissue from 2018, so it's readily available still, online at least, and this is the clear limited edition. And I'm not too keen on colored vinyl, so no color at all is excellent for me. See-through vinyl. Awesome sounding pressing and well done cover art, recreating the cover. So three happy dudes running around in the fields or cornfields and oat fields perhaps, and a good album, not a great album but a good album. Now, that was the reissues. Strolling down memory lane, a record I had about 30 years ago, 25 years ago. Shared it with my big brother, and we have been Deep Purple nuts since we were in our teens. And I had this album, as I mentioned, back in the early 90s or late 80s, I don't remember. But somewhere along the way it got lost. It's a double live album set called Scandinavian Nights, and it's live from Stockholm. And according to me, Deep Purple at their best. I just love this live recording. Double album. And a 30-minute rendition of Mandrake Root, which is the best live version I ever heard of Mandrake Root. You all know Deep Purple. I just love Ian Pace drumming, John Lord's organ playing, and of course Ritchie Blackmore, the guitar master who doesn't get the credit he deserves. It came back then with a booklet, different pictures, not from the Scandinavian or the Stockholm concert, but from 70 to 72. Even Ian Pace kicking his drums about. So a nice double live set from Deep Purple, and live is the way to listen to Deep Purple. Oh man, they were so great. 4 more records and originals. I had the Scandinavian issues from before, and one English original of Aynsley, Dunbar, Retaliation. This is their last album, Remains to be Heard, from 1969 on the Blue Liberty label. And I found their third album, called simply Retaliation, from 1969 as well. I also found in the same pile of records their second album, Dr. Dunbar's Prescription, from 1968. Yes, from 1968. And their first album, simply called Aynsley, Dunbar, Retaliation. So now I have all Aynsley, Dunbar, Retaliation albums on the original Blue UK Liberty label. If you haven't heard about Aynsley Dunbar, a little background on him is that he was the drummer for John Mayall's Blues Breakers on the album A Hard Road, the album with Peter Green after the Beano Eric Clapton album. He then had a stint with Jeff Beck Group and played on the single Hi-Ho Silver Linings, backed with Tallyman, before he started his own blues band called the Aynsley Dunbar Retaliation. And their claim to fame is for writing the track Warning, which Black Sabbath covered on their first self-titled album. So if you look in the credits, it says Dunbar. Awesome band, awesome raw British blues, in the vein of John Mayall's Blues Breakers, Fleetwood Mac and the likes. Awesome stuff. After Aynsley Dunbar Retaliation, he started a band, I think, or was that? He started a band called Blue Whale, and they released one album, and then he had a 6-year stint with Frank Zappa and played on a lot of Frank Zappa's records from the early 70s. An awesome drummer, and quite musical as well. Not all drummers are. I'm a drummer myself, so I know what I'm talking about. The last one for today is perhaps you can call it a grail. It's a grower for sure. Their first album was an immediate hit in my ears, and I've been spinning this quite a lot lately, and each time I spin it, it's getting better and better. I'm talking about, thank you Made in Sweden, thank you. I'm talking about The Gods and their second album, To Samuel a Son, from 1969. An awesome progressive psych pop rock piece, 40-minute concept album about the the son of Samuel who grows up and lives his life and then dies. A life cycle, not too unfamiliar theme as, as a concept theme. But this is the original UK issue with Ken Hensley, John Glasscock and Lee Kerslake on the instrumentation, and Joe Conas who moved to Canada after playing bass for Tofat, which is a later incarnation of the Gods. Awesome album and a nice addition to my record collection. An original on the black and silver Columbia label. So, that's my update. That's where all my money went since my last update video. Let's drink to that. Cheers. I might do another live video during the Easter holiday if I get the time, but great news on the mixtape series which I'm doing for those who are interested. I'm about to make an episode 3. I have made the playlist and I'm in the process of recording it, so if you like my mixtape episodes, be sure to check out my new one, which should be ready in a couple of weeks. I hope you are all doing fine and staying at home, staying safe with your family. Thanks for watching. Let the videos keep coming and spin some more records. See you later. Take care.